Welcome to Whistleblowers in partnership with Wix Trade Pro. Coming up.
I've known Alexander Isak is unsettled and unhappy for the best part of a year. My watch just started vibrating like hell. I said, listen boys, the sun cream can wait here. It'll turn to a tan in a few days' time anyway. I got my phone out the bag and it was there that Alexander Isak wasn't on the plane with his teammates. It's not just the cracks appearing, it's the whole thing falling down.
Like Arsenal, I get the feeling that we've just missed the boat. Hey, don't forget, we've still got like 4 FA Cups in 10 years. If you want to stretch it out during that period.
You're stretching it, by the way.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Whistleblowers. I'm Gordon Smart, the YTS Dan Walker. And as ever, I'm joined by the one and only Mark Clattenburg, returning from his Gladiator sabbatical. I feel like I haven't seen you for ages.
It does feel good being back on this sofa, by the way.
Glad to be back.
It's nice and comfortable. I have to say one great thing. Yeah. That Wix table
looking good,
is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's looking good. I mean, you can take zero credit for that. Like most of the things you take part in, Mark.
Exactly.
And we've got a returning guest today because he made such an impression last time. Fans' favourite, the one and only Joe Beya.
How you doing, guys? You okay? Thank you for having me, man.
You enjoyed it so much last time, you've decided to grow your media empire even further. How do you find the time?
To be honest with you, I'm just trying my best, and it's the start of the season, so it's really busy. But you guys were really good last time, so it was more than a pleasure to come back on.
I've got a mate, he's the bass player in the Stone Roses, Manny, and he says you can't ride 2 horses with one arse. Joe Beya over there, got 70 horses and one arse cheek.
It's even better.
He's still on board.
I don't know, he's got the time. He's getting married at the end of the month.
Yeah.
It's not too late, Joe.
We get married in Greece as well, so I got so it's not even here. I got to make sure. Yeah. I'm over there soon.
How much of that is being paid for by Nottingham Forest, that Greek wedding?
Mate, no comment, man. You saw the look he gave. You saw the look he gave Morgan Gibbs White.
Gibbs White, you did the Gibbs White face.
Yeah.
You got paid for it.
We've all had that there, don't worry.
Let me ask Mr. Maranakis' advisor, how much is he paying? As an official spokesman.
Tell you what, it must be a lot if you're getting married in Greece.
Oh, man.
Tremendous. I would also like to say good morning to Robbie Williams, fan of the show. Is that right, Mark Clattenburg?
Yeah, he actually messaged us saying that he'd seen us on a Rivals podcast, which was nice that he's listening to podcasts. The only thing is he's got to listen to Whistleblowers. Nice. So come on, Robbie. Get on Whistleblowers.
Good man. Right, we've got to start off because amazing news. Finally, footballers being appreciated on a world scale, on a global scale. Scott McTominay nominated for the Ballon d'Or.
Deserved.
Joe.
Deserved. I mean,
he's not having it.
You have to remember, right? Yeah. Napoli lost Kvaratskhelia. Struggle saying his name still. Yeah. They lost him in Jan. Yeah. You know, like, yes, it could have went left. You know, that's one of their big marquee players right there. And the fact that he was able to carry on and his performance didn't dip and he has really become Mr. Napoli. Yeah. You know, why not? Yeah. Why not?
And again, like, what was it? So Maradona, I mean, he's all over the city of Naples, isn't he? Like, Euros and everything, because he won the Serie A once, the Scudetto. And McTominay was a similar driving force in that team.
Yeah, I get. He's done well, hasn't he? And I think, you know, you see Italian football can be quite methodical and boring to watch, but he brings energy, doesn't he? He brings style. He brings, and that energy, I suppose fans love, don't they? And I think they've taken to him in Napoli as well. And probably he needed a move as well from Manchester United, even though
everyone does it.
I'm so pleased for him though, because that was a sad way to end a long career at a big club. And he's gone there and he hasn't moaned, he hasn't complained, he hasn't said anything publicly. I've spent a bit of time with him at Wimbledon and he looks like he's had the ultimate sort of Italian glow up as well, Joe, you know?
Yeah, he looks great, but you're saying sad way to end the career, mate. I don't think that's sad.
No. For him?
No, not really, because yes, it might be his boyhood club or whatever, but the reality is, you know, it's a graveyard over there. Yeah. So you go having the chance to go play for a major club like Napoli, I'm sorry, but especially where Manchester United is at the moment, it's an opportunity.
I meant more for him. I mean, he must have been sad leaving when the club's in.
You
always want to leave.
Sad, but
you always want to leave somewhere in a better condition than you found it. And he's probably played in the Manchester United era that's one of the worst on record.
I'll be honest with you, mate. It's maybe hindsight because he's won the Scudetto. I feel less sorry for him, but in general, I just think what an opportunity. I look at some of these players that are leaving, Marcus Rashford, Barcelona, you know, you're looking, even Fred, all these guys, I'm going, you've got a chance to go somewhere.
Anthony. He left and looked good.
Sometimes players need a change, don't they? And I do love players when they go to different countries and try different things, because the culture, living in a different country, it's not always easy, is it? So I respect somebody going, because you're at Manchester, it's comfortable, isn't it? You could stay there, be comfortable, or think, you know what, I'm going to do something different. And you know what? People now are talking about him in another level, where everybody was saying, Scott McTominay, good player, but in an average team now,
so good for Scotland though. He's brilliant for us.
Yeah, he is,
and he's got the best song ever. I don't know if you know the Lion Sleeps.
You're going to sing it?
Yeah, I can do it if you want.
Yeah, go on.
It starts that McTominay, he fucked off England to play for Scotland. It's Scott McTominay, and then there's this bit when all the Scotland fans go, "Oh, McTominay!" It's brilliant. What a tune! Right, let's move on to other matters, because we all know that Scott McTominay deserves to win the Ballon d'Or. What an achievement!
Will he win it? That's the question. We'll have that conversation.
We are joined now by a very special man who broke the news that Alexander Isak wants out of Newcastle, and also had the patience to spend enough time with the man to my right, Mark Clattenburg, writing his book, which paid for a villa in Spain for Mark Clattenburg. And Craig, what did I get you?
The set of doors you see over my shoulder now.
Which were paid.
I went out to spend some time with Mark at his lovely villa last year. First thing I said was when I walked in, you did better out of that book than I did.
So we'll come on to him in just a second. We're going to get our heads around some big stories this week. Benjamin Sesko saga, and also we'll talk about the football and legacy of Tottenham icon Heung-min Song. And we've got the big story to talk about, really, and it's Isak in Newcastle. I know it's given sleepless nights to Mark Clattenburg. So let's speak to Craig Hope now, the Daily Mail's chief football reporter, and the man who broke the story that has broken Newcastle fans' hearts all over the world. It's a big story this summer, isn't it? Alexander Isak wanted to leave Newcastle. Craig, tell us a little bit about the story. First, when did you first get a sniff that things weren't happy in the camp for him?
Yeah, without trying to shine a light on magic, I'll take you inside the story and how I broke it and what was happening at the time. Now, to answer your question directly there, Gordon, I've known Alexander Isak is unsettled and unhappy for the best part of a year. This goes all the way back to last summer when he wasn't given the contract he thought he was owed. Now, there's a sense since the end of last season that things were potentially going to come to a head during this close season. And I was out in Singapore now. It was Thursday 2 weeks ago, and again, without trying to shine a light on magic, I was at a water park at the time. Now, what I'd done was I'd taken my wife and 3 children out to Malaysia and Singapore first. We had a little bit of a holiday, and this was the last day where I knew Newcastle were due to arrive in Singapore. So I said to my wife and family, we'll have one last day, a little bit of hybrid / work. Let's go to a water park. Because of the time difference, I knew that I had sort of 7 or 8 hours to play with before the UK woke up. But I always had that feeling, that fear, that suspicion that something big could happen on this day, because the answer I needed was Alexander Isak on the plane with his teammates. So I'm going around the water park, guys, and I don't know if you've got them. You've got your Apple Watches now. Your Apple Watches buzz when you get phone calls and notifications. So I thought, I'm fine here. I'm safe. I was going up and down water slides, snorkeling with tropical fish on the lazy river, and there was no action on my watch at all. So I thought, I'm okay. I'm good. What I hadn't realised was my watch was actually out of range. So I went back to the bed to put some sun cream on a couple of the boys, and I thought I had the shakes in my left arm. My watch just started vibrating like hell. I said, listen, boys, the sun cream can wait here. It'll turn to a tan in a few days' time anyway. Off you go in the wave pool. Not great parenting. I got my phone out the bag, and it was there, the confirmation from various sources that Alexander Isak wasn't on the plane with his teammates. I immediately broke that, and then it was action stations. I said to my wife, it's sole parenting for you for the next couple of hours. And I just had to get all of my ducks in a row to confirm that Alexander Isak had told the club that he wanted to leave. And yeah, from that moment on, guys, my summer and my last 2.5 weeks have not been my own. They haven't been the same. It's been brilliant. It's been a big, fascinating story with twists and turns every day. But we at the Daily Mail broke it that night. Isak wants to go. 30 million views, I think, it got on X, and then goodness knows how many across all of our platforms. But that was day one, and it started on a water slide.
Greg, can I quickly ask, how's the family been in the last 2 weeks?
I don't know. I haven't seen them.
Yeah.
There's so many.
I went back to the hotel and I said to my wife, I said, listen, you understand the the gravity and the enormity of this now. So she did. She was really good, but her and the three boys had a sort of a mini holiday on their own for 3 or 4 days, and I was just working and popping in and seeing them. So interesting times.
Craig, there are so many holes in this story, but the biggest one really is that you put suntan lotion on your kids. No Geordie family does that. Just take another Newcastle top on them. I mean, you are getting a bit of a reputation for being the Grim Reaper of transfer news for Newcastle, because it has been, I think, fair to say, a disastrous transfer window, hasn't it, for Newcastle? They've missed out on nearly everybody they were after, Craig.
Yeah, they have. And, people call me the Grim Reaper, and some say you're negative. I'm not negative. I'm not positive. I'm just telling the truth. It's real. And I think this summer, especially on the back of the Isak news, and you said there, Gordon, that me breaking the news had broken their hearts. I could tell them the opposite. I could tell them Alexander Isak is happy, he wants to stay. It's not true. But if you want to hear that, okay, fair enough. Mark will tell you, I think ultimately as a supporter, you want to know what's really going on inside your club. And it has been a turbulent summer. Turbulent is the word I've used. I'm not far, guys, from escalating turbulence into crash and burn. This every day now is a different rejection. And just overnight, we've seen the scenario with Benjamin Sesko play out. Now, when I was out in Korea with Newcastle last week, the feeling was that Sesko did want Manchester United. But while that offer from Man United wasn't there, they had to follow through with it in the chance that they could pull the deal off. It doesn't look as if that's going to happen. It's back to the drawing board in terms of a striker. But crucially, what does it mean for Alexander Isak? Well, he can't go anywhere until they've got those replacements in. So, a disastrous summer, Gordon. I would go along with that. Use whatever adjective you want with that element of spin, of difficulty on it. It's not going well at all.
Yeah, just going on from, a successful season as a fan, watching Newcastle United win their first trophy in so many years, the positivity around the club, going into that end of season, qualifying for the Champions League, what do you think's gone wrong? What do you think to create this summer? We've got the Saudi Arabia, and I've had dealings with Saudi Arabia, how, they can easily get bored, for example, if some project's not going in the right direction. What do you believe is going wrong within the club that is creating this issue that we're seeing now? Top players not wanting to sign for Newcastle United, bearing in mind, no disrespect to Manchester United, they're a big club, but they haven't got Champions League. And now players are happy not to play in the Champions League maybe 1 year, maybe another year, or to come and play for Newcastle United, which is already, playing in Champions League next season.
Yeah, it's a good question, Mark. And to try and explain, this isn't just about this summer. This hasn't just happened in the last 3 or 4 weeks. This has been brewing now for the best part of 16, 17 months. And I take you back to last summer when Amanda Stavely and Murdoch Gudusi left the club against their wishes. That was the start of it all, really. On the back of that, the sporting director, Paul Mitchell, came in. Now, Paul Mitchell didn't work from the start. Came in and I think what was it I wrote in the Daily Mirror? He ruffled more feathers than a fox in a hen house. It was incredible how he came in and upset the folk who had done all of that good work. Really, it was quite remarkable that Eddie Howe managed to keep everything together last season and they had the campaign they did. The first domestic trophy in 70 years, qualifying again for the Champions League, a striker who wanted out 12 months ago, scoring 27 goals in Alexander Isak. The job Eddie Howe did was remarkable because those players, they were unsettled long before this summer, Mark. That goes back to what the likes of Isak thought were failed promises on contracts. Players looking at 3 transfer windows without those big names, those other reinforcements coming in. They were starting to feel unsettled. The project they thought they'd brought into, in terms of off the pitch, no new training ground, no updates on the stadium. They were starting to have doubts. So for Eddie to do what he did last year was remarkable, incredible. What they managed to achieve within the confines of that training ground was absolutely elite, a miracle. But what we're seeing now is not just the cracks appearing, it's the whole thing falling down. Can it be salvaged? Of course it can be. They're still Newcastle United. They've still got that fan base. I've just spent 2 weeks with them. They've still got Bruno, Tonali, Joe Linton, Anthony Gordon. They've still got Eddie Howe and his staff. All is not lost. And it can change. It can flip quickly in football. But right now, they're going through a hell of a time. Morale is low. I love Eddie to pieces. I'd go into bat for him all day. There was times I was out with him there in Korea. He wasn't really himself. He's feeling it. The players will be feeling it. They need some good news. They need to change that narrative right now. there's no sign of that.
How much, he wasn't very well either, was he, Eddie? I mean, do you think, there's the famous book, The Body Keeps the Score. Do you think he's is that a sign that he's feeling some kind of pressure that he hasn't really suffered before?
I don't know about that, because he got ill on the back of winning the Carabao Cup. I think it was, he was arguably his happiness. I think the illness was something which just came about. It was an infection that got hold of him. Thankfully, he's okay there now. So no, I don't think it is that, but certainly more immediately, when I've been with him out in Korea and Singapore, I've seen the toll and the effect it's had on him. So he will absolutely be feeling it. But as I said, Eddie is still Eddie. He's still that elite coach. Players will still buy into him. The mystery in all of this is, if I'm a footballer and I'm looking at what he's done to uncapped players like Tino Livramento, Lewis Hall, Dan Burn, Anthony Gordon, they've all matured and been elevated into full England internationals under the tutelage of Eddie. If I'm a player, I'm looking in from afar thinking, I want to go and play for that man. But it's about the bigger picture and the optics around Newcastle right now. And this was a piece I did in the Daily Mail last week. They haven't really got that big club feel, that big club pull. There's no sporting director. There's no.
You had this big row, didn't you? You had this football director scrap, didn't you, with Simon Jordan the other day? Is it structurally wrong, and why is it structurally wrong?
Well, this goes back to what I said last year when Amanda and Murdad left the club against their wishes. They haven't really replaced them in terms of having that human feel, that link between boardroom and dressing room. There does feel that void, that separation now. It's almost like two clubs within one club. You've got Eddie and the players, and then you've got the rest of it. What I will say is there are some good people on the inside who realise and recognise the need and the want and the urgency to bridge that gap. That will only come about when they bring in a CEO. How many major organisations in football or outside of football go into a key part, one of the biggest summers in the club's recent existence, without a CEO, without a sporting director? That is bordering on neglect. It's been shot down by those close to PIF. But I think the owners at the very top here, and Mark will tell you he's worked in Saudi Arabia, they've got a lot to answer to. I think they've really been caught sleeping on this, and it's left the club in the position it's currently in.
So what do you think, Mark? The fish does rot from the head down. Is this a problem with the PIL?
Yeah, well, Saudi will not do anything till they need to know they've got to fix it. They're not forward-thinking people. So they're just happy to think, let's just throw a bit more money to solve it, but it doesn't work like that. Like, when was the CEO, Darren, going to leave the club? 6 months ago it was announced that he was going to leave it?
10 months ago now.
10 months ago then. Even. So they've had 10 months to replace a CEO and there's nobody in.
In any other business would that happen? Really,
no.
Craig?
No.
A sporting director, you hit, Craig, you've just hit the nail on the head from my point. You've got a sporting director. If you want to be eliteness, or the club to be eliteness, you need to have your sporting director needs to be elite. Mm-hmm. Then players need to come and go, you know what, I want to work for this football club. There's nobody seems to be selling this football club. Nobody's selling the city. Nobody's selling the project. It seems to be that they're living off, we've qualified for Champions League, therefore come and play for the football club.
I think that's a great point. And Sesko's another example of that, isn't it, Craig? Just to remind you of the story, Newcastle restructured the bid. So £70 million for Sesko. Man United put in a bid for 65 million, £9 million of add-ons. But Newcastle's got Champions League football. Man United look like they're in a mess.
Yeah, but we have to remember, with all respect, and I think Craig was saying that a few minutes ago, Manchester United is still Manchester United.
They're a mess.
Yeah, they're a mess, but you have to think of what the club is worldwide. If you're, especially from an international setup, I think players more in the Premier League will be more aware of how damning it is. But if you're international and you're, whether Newcastle have got Champions League or not, you're still going to play for Manchester United.
Yeah, but Craig, one question then. So if Isak was unhappy a year ago, if you want to be a big club, why? The fans will say, well, why not just give him what he wanted? Why is it created? We got to this stage where we've got an unhappy player who, arguably is one of the best Premier League strikers at the moment.
The strikers in the world.
Arguably.
One of the best.
So why is Newcastle wanting to create that problem? In two seasons' time, you could sell him, you can make a good profit. But why did Newcastle feel that they wanted to create this problem and create this? Because Newcastle have been like this for years, haven't we? If we want to argue, we've been a mess for years. We've created so many problems for ourselves. and then we think, oh, we're actually turning a corner under Eddie Howe, and then we're back under the same issues again. Why do they not just give him a contract?
Okay, well, I'll give the club perspective side of things here, and it's not without reason. If you go back to last June, there was that mad scramble to avoid a PSR points deduction when they contemplated selling Anthony Gordon to Liverpool, and in the end they solved it by selling two younger players, Elliot Anderson and Yankuba Minte. Now, with the backdrop of this, Paul Mitchell came in, and putting aside everything Mitchell did in terms of the relationships he didn't develop with key staff, he inherited this situation with Alexander Isak, where Isak thought he was promised the money from Amanda Stavely and Murdoch Adusi that he was no doubt owed and he no doubt deserved. But Paul Mitchell took the view, hold on a minute, we're not in a great position PSR-wise here. This is a player who has got 4 years to run on his contract. He's already paid amongst the very top earners at the football club. Why does he need a new deal? And if we do give him a new deal, what you've then got is 2 or 3 others knocking on the door saying they want parity. So having just solved your PSR problem, you're putting yourself back in it immediately. I understand from the business perspective, the decision that was taken. What that doesn't account for is the human at the other end of it. And the moment the club made that decision, Alexander Isak thought he was missing out on a year's worth of money he was owed. He resents that. That's why in his mind, he was always going to give it everything for one season because of the respect he's got for Eddie, supporters and his teammates. But once that season was done, he was out of here. He checked out, and that's why they are where they are.
What does that do to the dressing room then? You know, as you say, that's a big job for Eddie to fix that, isn't it? And can he fix that situation now? You know, because
he's going to try later on today. They're going to have a family barbecue. All the players are coming in with the children. If any children impress in the little kickabout they're no doubt going to have on the training pitches there, they might leave the training ground with a number 9 jersey. It's still vacant. You know, opportunity there for you boys and girls. Go and impress. They still do need that striker now. Eddie's a brilliant man manager. He's a brilliant coach. I don't see any chink in his management. And if you look back over my history, if I do see chinks in management, I'll put it out there. I'll shine a light on it. I've fallen out with more managers than I've got on with. I've got all the respect and all the time in the world for Eddie Howe. Not because I like him, because he is brilliant, because that's all of the evidence I see with my own eyes and everything that comes back to me. This could be one of the biggest challenges of his managerial career. It goes one of 2 ways. He's got to reintegrate somehow Alexander Isak into the dressing room. If they aren't able to sign that replacement, or if Liverpool don't come up with the package that deem acceptable, or he's got to then sell Alexander Isak, who is hugely popular amongst his teammates, amongst supporters. We all know the level of footballer he is, and he's then got to find a way to pick up the pieces of that on what is going to be no way to avoid it, either right on the eve of the season or 2 or 3 weeks into the season. It's a huge challenge. I would back him to do it.
The dynamics are interesting here, though, because Liverpool have said they're out now. So how do Newcastle go back and renegotiate if that's the only option left?
Liverpool haven't said they're out. That was a tactic in light of a £110 million offer being rejected on Friday. Liverpool haven't come this far to offer £10 million less than what they previously discussed verbally and just walk away from it. Liverpool will return, but they'll only return when they see Newcastle bring in the replacement. Otherwise, they know the offer is going to be rejected and the price will creep up and up. Liverpool will come back.
Does he leave this summer then?
Ooh. Do you want yes or no, or do you want narrative? What do you want?
Yes or no, really.
Yes.
Wow. Joel, what do you think?
I think he doesn't. I think you're right, though, Craig. I think Eddie's going to have a massive job because he's going to have to somehow reintegrate Alexander Isak into the first team. But it was interesting what was said. I saw in the notes. Eddie said he has to earn his way to. Is it earn his way to play? Earn his rights to play back in the first team. And to be honest with you, I think that is a way of saying, give it some time and you'll come back. He has no choice. This is one of the best strikers in the world. I think eventually, and fans will remember and they'll forget. If he scores a few hat tricks and he's got 15 goals by Christmas, he'll be all right.
And if he buries Sunderland in a derby,
but if what Craig's saying. He's been unhappy for a year and he did incredible for the club during that season, 27 goals, an important goal in the Carabao Cup final. If he's upset again, it's going to take a lot, knowing that he's got 1 more year left or there's an agreement going to be made, he's going to be going the following season. I honestly think it'll all be subject to who they can get through the door. If Newcastle can't get that striker through the door...
Would you be happy with Sesko? Because he's not getting the greatest write-up, is he? But it
depends what you're going to get. If you're getting Sesko, he's powerful, isn't he? He's probably ready for the Premier League. There's certain players come in and you think, you know what, that could take a little bit of time. I think because he's physically strong, he could probably come in. Could he do the same level as Isak? 100% no. But it's what it can create afterwards. That they're looking at Mark De Gea again from Crystal Palace, the defender again. That's coming. Can they build? And like we said from Brentford, could they get them 3 players in for the price of Isak? I think if Sesko comes, I think could it be Craig a monopoly of other players coming in on the back of it off the sale? Because I don't think they'll stop with Sesko, for example, if Isak goes. But if that main striker doesn't come, I don't think the other players will come, and I think Isak will stay.
Craig, the question we really want to know the answer to now is there room in this transfer window for anybody to come in? Because it does look like Sesko is leaning towards Old Trafford.
Yeah, there is room, and it's back to the drawing board now. Now they're in a strong position from a PSR perspective, and for all of the reasons I've outlined previously, that you've got that draw of the Champions League, you've got that draw of Eddie Howe, and there are other striking targets. There's Ollie Watkins, there's Johan Wissa, but I think what the club want to do is they need a replacement for Callum Wilson, first and foremost. They need 2 strikers, not just one. Johan Wissa, we're led to believe, is the one they're going to pursue with regards to that. But then they need a younger model to come in and replace Alexander Isak if he is to go. Now, Benjamin Sesko ticked that box. If Sesko doesn't come in, and we don't think he is now, there's not many options out there. So I know I answered your yes-no question before with regards to Isak and said he will go. There is absolutely still the potential that he stays, and that is because Newcastle might have no alternative. They might have to say there's another £100,000 a week and a gentleman's agreement or a written agreement that you can go next summer. That option still is at play. I think it's less likely, but at the moment we don't just know this story is changing every day, every hour, every minute. And Newcastle fans might not want to hear it, but as a journalist, it's been fantastic to be at the heart of, even though it did drag me off a water slide at the very onset.
Craig, are your family still at the water slide park?
Yeah.
Where's Dad? There's announcements going out over the speaker. I'm back in the UK. They're still in Singapore. Can Mr. Ho please report to the air? No, they are back here with me now.
Craig, one final question before we let you go. If you could write the book of anybody in that Newcastle squad right now, whose book would it be?
Good question.
They might buy you the other door.
If he doesn't say Dan Burn here, I'll be horrified.
Yeah, do you know what? I spoke to Dan out in Singapore, and I said, I haven't seen you for a few weeks, a couple of months now. I said, tell me about your summer. Something must have happened. His narrative this year from the England call-up, the goal in the Carabao Cup final, a couple of weeks later, he was then pictured pushing a car off a roundabout in Tyneside. He's a superhero. His story, there's no limit. I said, tell me something which happened during your summer. He said, well, I went to Disneyland and I couldn't get on some of the rides because I was too tall.
Classic.
That's absolutely sensational. Craig, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. What a story, by the way, breaking one of the big football stories of the summer. We'll get you back on soon. Craig, thank you so much for your time.
Keep up the good work, Craig.
Right, we need to talk about a very important story and sort of end of an era, really. And it's funny, I don't know if you boys feel like this, but every now and again it feels like a chapter closes on the Premier League and new faces start to come in, and it feels like another start, because Heung-min Son, at the end of his Tottenham career, it is an iconic career at Spurs, however you look at it, has decided to leave. And I don't know, there'd been a little bit of talk over the summer, hadn't there, Joel, that he was leaving. But when he actually did it, it still came as a shock because he's been such a staple and an anchor in that team.
Yeah, I think for me it was the timing more than anything, because I heard whispers last season, if I'm to be really honest with you. So I thought, okay, maybe he'll be gone earlier on in the summer, but I guess it's the timing. Look, maybe it's because I'm an Arsenal fan and I do respect him as a player. I think he's absolutely fantastic. At one point, I thought he was, if world class, or maybe just under.
Yeah.
I don't see what all the faff is about,
Really?
I'm being honest with you. Like,
you won a trophy.
Yeah, if you want to call that a trophy in a final against a really poor
Manchester United
team, it is. But I don't know. I respect him as a player.
Yeah.
But I just think.
That's the kind of thing somebody says when they're trying to be polite.
I really am trying to be very polite. I just don't see what all the.
Surely, as an Arsenal fan, you must, because there was a spell when he ripped you to pieces, didn't he?
He's fantastic. I think when you look at the last 10 years, you know, him and Harry Kane stand out like a sore thumb, you know. But if you ask me personally, I still think Harry Kane's the bigger legend, you know.
Doesn't have any trophies, but top goal scorer.
Doesn't have any trophies.
What's more valuable, a trophy or a record like top goal scorer?
100% is trophies, but I think there are excruciating circumstances, and I think Harry Kane's one of them. You're looking at one of the best strikers, you know, this generation has ever seen. And I think if Harry Kane wasn't at the club in the last 8 years, then we probably wouldn't be talking about Tottenham at all. You know, so for me,
it's a big call.
There's no one bigger than Harry Kane. I'm sorry, like
I totally agree.
Do you agree?
Yeah, no, we had this conversation before.
I mean, Sonny seems like he was the glue that kept them together, was he not? You know, he seemed like an important.
Glue? Where'd you get that?
No, I'm playing devil's advocate here. Was he not the guy in the dressing room that kind of kept it together last season?
What, later on? If you know, if you watch them documentaries with, you know, when behind the scenes with Tottenham, I wouldn't have seen that in the dressing room.
He barely speaks.
Seen that.
Yeah.
Harry did a runner though, didn't he? Harry Kane left.
I can't say he did a runner. He went to go play for Bayern Munich, which is a legendary club within itself. In fact, I'm surprised he stayed as long as he did anyway. Yeah. But you know, massive respect for Heung-min Son. And you know, all the fans and the supporters that he brings. I see the time that he gives to his community, and you know, massive respect.
Is that going to do it? Is that going to cause Daniel Levy some problems? Because I think most people know that when he played for Spurs, Koreans travelled to see him, didn't they?
Yeah. So maybe, but look,
commercially, there's going to be a figure missing from Daniel Levy's P&L that he cares so much about.
Yeah, well, they have to go and win some more trophies then, and hopefully that will, you know, help them even more.
But like Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, you know, hey, don't forget, we've still got like 4 FA Cups in 10 years. So if you want to stretch it out during that period.
You're stretching it, by the way.
Yeah.
When was the last one?
First year of Mikel's isn't it? But,
figures, statistics can say whatever you like them to say, Joe.
They can.
Mark, what do you think? No, because again, like I was saying, he has been such a big part of the DNA of that team. And again, under Pochettino, he was such a key figure there as well, wasn't he?
Not at the start, he wasn't, because he wanted to leave under Poch. For early doors, he was like, because he wasn't getting any game time. So back in 2015, 2016, when he first came into the club. But I'm with Joel here. If we are talking, if Harry Kane had stayed at Tottenham and Tottenham won a trophy, we wouldn't be talking about Son. Even if he'd left, it would be like another player's just left. I think
I might disagree with you on that.
That timing is, with Kane leaving, Tottenham winning a trophy, Son became the talisman. He became the figure of the team. Because I believe Tottenham lost their identity. Once Kane left, we looked at that Tottenham team. Where was the leaders? There was no leaders in that dressing room other than Son, who was the long-term Tottenham player. So we're talking about Son's legacy. I remember working in Turkey last season, and there was big rumours that the two biggest Turkish teams wanted him, and Levy wasn't going to let him go. So to let him go now, which is quite bizarre, really, because if he wasn't available back in the January transfer window, why is he available all of a sudden now? Is it because they've won a trophy and Daniel Levy's thinking, you know what, I've got a bit of time here because I've won a trophy and I need to rebuild? Because Son now, I watched Son when I first refereed, 2016. Son was a great player.
What was he like to referee then?
Very quiet, very reserved.
Test you, but didn't
really speak. He didn't really. He didn't engage. Some players loved to engage. Some players loved the banter. I wouldn't have that conversation with Son. What I did find with Son was he was very polite, but that was the way he came across. He would be very. If I said something like, "I," that's a free kick, and that's why. No problem. It was the respect hugely. And, you know, listening to people that I speak to outside now say what a nice guy was to interview, so respectful. And that's the way he came across. And I think the way he's handled himself, what I find with Son is he's seen his contract out. He signed a 5-year deal in 2018 and he's seen his contract out. That doesn't happen. Very rare now with modern players. I believe he's left Tottenham in such a brilliant way where everybody's saying, we love Son. And
it's a good time. He's won a trophy.
Yeah.
Because if you take away the trophy, you know, they didn't perform well in the league. So I think it's very smart. I keep saying I respect him as a player. You know, I just kind of think we must not forget that Harry Kane is the real
I can't believe we're talking about Harry Kane.
No, I'm
left a year ago.
If he comes back to the Premier League one season, he's going to break Shearer's record.
Yeah, he is.
He's that good.
Where does that strike partnership figure in the grand scale of all the best Premier League strikers? You know, a Cole and York or a Sutton and Shearer, Kane and Son.
I mean, I'm saying maybe top 10, maybe. Yeah. But let's not forget, you know, you just said it yourself, Andy Cole.
Yeah,
York
was amazing.
Henri Bergkamp. Yeah. You know, you've got some good ones there. You know, even if you talk about strike partnerships, even if you twist it around a little bit and you do Drogba, Lampard, you know, I know that's not same positions, but there's been some lethal stuff happening. Gerrard, Torres, you know, so it's up there. But I don't. Again, let's calm down.
What about big Duncan Ferguson at Newcastle?
Big Dunk. What a player he
Harry
was.
Kane will never be as good as Duncan Ferguson.
Never. Couldn't even play in the derby. Shearer.
So the pressure on you now, right, Joe? You're going to have to earn your corn today.
Yeah.
What's your top 5 prediction? And you can start with 5th.
It's easier starting with first, no?
Oh, you could do that.
I'll go first. It gives me some time. Liverpool, I think.
Oh, he's not gone for Arsenal.
Yeah, he's gone.
He's not gone.
I'm an honest one. It depends what type of show you get me on, but you guys are sensible lads, so I'm going to be sensible Joel here. I think Liverpool, regardless of whether they get Isak or not, I think team spirit wise, I just think they are.
Even with Gyökeres, you don't think you can win the league?
I think it makes a huge difference, but we'll get on to Arsenal in a bit. But I think
Liverpool, Eze, what about Eze? If Eze comes in,
is he coming in though?
You never know.
You know,
you never know.
Because from my understanding, there's a few journalists that were saying that we only had 200 million to spend this summer. And when you do the maths of all the players that we've had, it equals to like 190, 195. Right. And we're not a selling club, are we?
No.
So what's going to happen with the rest of that? I don't know. I just think it went too quiet too quickly for me.
So Liverpool are going to win the league.
Liverpool, Man City,
Second,
they're going to be there or thereabouts. I do think they're still a little bit shaky. I saw them in the Club World Cup, still not completely convinced. Still don't know if Shirky's going to is Pep's type of player. You're going to see great moments, but is he really going to track back and do the dirty work? I don't know, you know, and missing Kevin De Bruyne is going to be massive for them.
Time. Yeah.
So then Arsenal third. I think Gyökeres is going to get us the goals. We're going to, you know, but...
So you're going to go backwards?
Yeah.
That's a bold prediction.
That is a bold prediction.
Because I think...
Do you not see the progress and the plan that Arteta talks about?
Maybe there's progress within ourselves as a team, but you have to remember there's other clubs that are making even bigger progress.
Right.
So it all has to... It's all relative, right? Look what Liverpool are doing. It's one of the best windows I've ever seen.
Big signings, aren't they?
Big signings.
All of them are like
even
landmark.
without Isak. Big signings. Ekitike is probably, in my opinion, even though they've paid a lot of money for him, he's the person I expect the least from.
Right, yeah.
If I'm honest. If you're looking at Kirkes, you're looking at Frimpong, you're looking at Wirtz. Like, I'm expecting big stuff from these players. But Arsenal, I get the feeling that we've just missed the boat.
Really?
Second 3 times in a row. In 2 of those seasons, you caught Man City in a bad place and we still couldn't win. Liverpool were not subject to win the
Premier League. What does that tell you about your manager?
He has to win something this season. You know, I don't like to get into the old in and out stuff.
Has he gone already though?
That's for the club to decide. But for me, I think you have to win either the Premier League or the Champions League. That is it.
Yeah.
The FA Cup's not good enough.
If you're being a ruthless owner and you know the prediction is that your club are going to finish third with somebody that loves the club and knows the club like you do, then does it need a bit of tough love like Daniel Levy across North London and make a bold move?
Yeah, but you're not going to get that at Arsenal.
What about Thomas Frank though? I mean, he would have been the hottest property in the league.
I think I wouldn't replace Arteta for Don't get me wrong. I think Arteta's a really good manager.
Yeah.
You know, and I hope it goes well for him. I really do like him genuinely, but he's got to win. It's as simple as.
What would you have? Champions League or Premier League?
Champions League, you know.
Yeah,
because I've never experienced it.
Really?
Yeah, I've never experienced that. Well, when?
No,
really?
just trying to think that. No, I'm more about the decision that you would rather
100%.
win the Champions League.
I remember winning the Premier League at the very least.
Yeah.
But you know, Champions of Europe, you'll never sing that. You know, I'm trying to get that song out of my system.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, for me, I would definitely love.
Interested, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you know, I've heard a lot of talk about being serial winners, and maybe winning the Premier League changes that mentality, though, and that's when you go on and win in Europe.
Maybe it does, but I would love a European.
That's the
parade.
modern football fan for me. See, winning 38 games, winning the league over that period, I think that.
But you can finish fifth and still play in the Champions League next year. That's
the
what league.
It's not the Champions League, is it?
The league financially, isn't it? But yeah, there's something about you win the Premier League Champions, but winning the
Champions League. Newcastle.
But we're talking about winning it. There's one thing competing, but winning it. We're talking about actually winning it is something else.
Oh, of course it is.
So we've got Liverpool, Man City, then your team Arsenal third.
Yes.
So these are quite controversial, fourth and fifth.
Chelsea, I think, below us. I think, again, great signings, great at selling, decent buys, but I just don't know about Maresca.
Really?
I'm still not 100% convinced.
It's a tough job keeping a big squad like that happy.
It is a tough job, but I've seen moments of weakness when I look at his tactics during the course of the season, and sometimes the way he handles things, I'm not 100% sure.
You said that like a Jedi Knight. It was brilliant. I see moments of weakness.
Yeah, but when I look at Mikel, going back to Arsenal, I think the one thing he does have is togetherness. And I think that togetherness can get you over the line, even though they might have overall better individual players than us. And then I think fifth, it's a real tough one. I would have said Newcastle if you had a good summer, but I just think I don't know. There's not the togetherness that you need to go and
but surely there's a big togetherness after winning a trophy last season. It seems like quite a tight dressing room, isn't it?
There was,
yeah.
But I think the summer,
Isak's upset it.
I think with Isak doing what he's done, I think the senior players in the dressing room flying out to Asia would have been upset, because that togetherness is like
it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone. That's interesting. Interesting. So who is fifth then?
Villa.
Yeah, Villa.
I'll give it to Villa.
Ollie Watkins is still there.
Ollie Watkins will still be there.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah. I agree. I think Unai Emery, by the way, is one of the most underrated
for Arsenal
managers.
fans again, isn't it?
Yeah. It's timing.
Yeah.
He was there at the wrong time. It's like David Moyes. To follow Fergie's footsteps is always going to be difficult, and I think that's the same with Unai.
Yeah. The players love him as a manager, I think.
Tactically brilliant.
Yeah.
I don't think that's fair. I think Villa fifth.
Villa fifth.
Easily. Yeah.
I'm amazed. I really didn't think you'd say Arsenal third.
Yeah, I think Arsenal, because I knew you were on the show this week.
Yeah.
Last week I was predicting Arsenal to be 1 or 2, and I thought if the Liverpool don't sign Isak, I think Arsenal got a chance.
Gyökeres is such a big signing.
Yeah, because they've never had that before. They've never had for few seasons that.
It puts a lot of the dissent aside as well, doesn't it? All those people who are criticising that, you don't ever.
Yeah, look at it. Moreno was playing as a forward.
And
come on.
There's something there, and I don't think it's the players as per se. I think there's an eliteness that you have to have, and if you look at Arnslot, he came in and when he had beat Manchester United early on in the season at Old Trafford, and he exactly knew what he needed from the players and what it was. And I had a chance to sit down and speak with Mo Salah at the end of last season. And we sat down and we spoke for a long time, and he just described that he knows how to deal with big players. He knows the timings and when to put an arm round and etc. I look at the Arsenal players and I think Mikel does really well because the players they're of course Bukayo is a big player. That's probably our biggest player in terms of star power. But I just think when it comes to personalities and those players that you need to win the league, we still don't have that yet.
And you let Kieran
Tierney got some great young players.
We've got great young players.
Young players is
fantastic.
incredible.
Fantastic. But can they win us the league now?
You can't win anything with kids.
No, I'm not saying that.
Alan
let's be careful.
I think you can.
Some impressive young players.
Yeah,
probably.
I think trust.
You look at that. If you look at that, them young players, they're probably the best young players to come out through the Premier League.
Looks like the best crop, doesn't it?
Max Baumann, Miles Lewis-Skelly, Ethan Winieri.
You can see the future of Arsenal there, and that might be a reason to stick with Arteta. So thanks very much again. That's it for this episode. Don't forget, you can email us, whistleblowers@dailymail.com, and our social accounts on X, it's BlowersPod, on TikTok at Whistleblowers Podcast, and on Instagram at WhistleblowersPod. Joel, thanks for coming back.
Oh, thank you for having me. Really interesting. I like seeing you guys in action live. It's just completely different, but it's great.
Joel, I can't believe you said Arsenal third.
That's what I'm just about to say. Joel, you've been a brilliant part of this, but to say Arsenal finish.
Do you know what's good? That's proper punditry. Somebody telling you exactly what they believe based on the information they have, and that's what you think.
I just don't understand why you think anything else.
Oh, yeah, come on.
Is it what you expected me to come and do this?
No, I just
want you to have a bit of positivity about your team. Like I think Newcastle. I did say 6th, didn't I?
Yeah,
because I was going to put them 5th, but I might have been 5th.
You'll be lucky if you're 6 this
Yeah,
season.
no, I won't.
Yeah.
No, after Isak.
But will you win a trophy?
I think it's possible. I wouldn't put it past us to win the Carabao or the FA Cup.
Probably the FA Cup.
I'm just saying there needs to be more.
Yeah.
And I think after finishing second 3 times in a row, in a topsy-turvy way.
Yeah. When I saw Declan Rice playing against PSG, I thought this could be the year. Because I think Declan Rice is a phenomenal footballer.
Fantastic.
The components are there. Gyökeres is a great signing. You add Eze.
Yeah, I mean, if we get Eze, I can change my mind, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah. Our producer
I think you're stronger this year than you were last year. I thought last year when you had an injury,
it was
you
a
were
light
trying
squad.
to fill gaps, which then weakened. For example, Declan Rice was playing in a different position, and that created you lose different things. And I find always with Arsenal, they never have that like for like replacement. They're always just trying to fill holes, and it's
trust in youth.
Yeah,
so many
bring
good
them in.
players. Yeah,
Brilliant.
It's time.
Good luck.
Joe, all the best for this season. Thanks very much for coming
Appreciate
on.
it, guys.
Right, all that remains is for one horrible thing to be done. If you wouldn't mind blowing the full
I haven't got the whistle
You've
today.
not even brought your whistle.
I haven't brought me whistle.
The referee's. Can we bring the fourth official? It's David Ellery out there. Get him in.
Gladiators, it's still in the arena.
If you want to watch more episodes of Whistleblowers, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'll keep you up to date all the way through the summer with everything that's happening in the world of football.